So my name is Teresa Duran. I am the coordinator of the Pasadena Unified School District's Office of Enrollment, Permits, and Student Records. Open enrollment is an opportunity for Pasadena Unified School District residents to select a school other than their school of residence. So every family who resides within Pasadena, Altadena, Sierra Madre, and a little pocket of San Gabriel has a school of residence for elementary, middle, and high school. And if you're not sure what your elementary, middle, or high school is, you can go to the district's website, go to Enrollment, click on Locator, and you'll be able to find out. Okay? So let's get underway, though, with the open enrollment for this coming year. So this is a slide that gives you a little history of numbers from previous years. We might have to. We might have to. I think, is that gentleman going to get it for us? Yeah. So a year ago, when we did open enrollment for this 2013-14 school year, that would be the numbers column on the left there, we had about 3,300 projected openings across the district. This year we have about 3,800 openings across the district. Last year we had about 2,200 applicants. So far this year, in less than a week, yesterday afternoon, we've had 1,100 applicants so far this year. I'm not going to spend any more time on this. Some of this other information, late applications, we're going to get to in a minute. So before you head off to, a computer to do an online application, we would encourage everybody to take a look at your neighborhood school. There's a lot of benefits to your neighborhood school. In almost all cases, unless you're looking at a dual language immersion program at elementary or a pathway at the high school, all the schools are using the same curriculum. They all have a highly educated, credentialed staff, and we have fabulous principals. So, and each elementary school has some features that are unique to that school. So learn about the schools, visit other schools. Kind of think about what your family needs are. Do you need before school care, after school care? And then you can, for one last resource, check the district's annual school guide, which is just now out, and there's copies on the table there if you want to grab one. It's also available on the website. Okay. Employees of PUSD are given an opportunity to apply as well during open enrollment, and employees this year are applying at the same time as residents. Not a big deal. Field Elementary School, which has a dual language immersion Mandarin Chinese immersion program, is going to be all kindergarten dual language immersion next fall. So residents who live in the field attendance area who do not want their children to be in the dual language immersion program have Norma Coombs as their school of residence. There's a new pathway if you have a student who's entering high school. Children enter pathways at 9th grade, and that is the Academy for Creative Industries. This coming fall, actually end of summer, August, when children enter kindergarten, they must be 5 years old by September 1st in order to begin kindergarten in the school district in the state of California. There's also transitional kindergarten. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's for children who don't meet the cutoff date. So any child born September 2nd to December 2nd is a candidate for transitional kindergarten. Oh, there we go. Which is a full day program. They do 1 year of transitional kindergarten, and the following year they enter a kindergarten program. At the bottom there are the 5 school sites that have transitional kindergarten. There is not a transitional kindergarten at every elementary school. We've re-added back a late application period this year, so if you've missed this first online application window, you'll have an opportunity to come back in April. If you applied and didn't get what you were hoping to get in this opportunity right now, you can come back in April and see if there's some other options still available. There's a new STEM magnet at Washington, Accelerated Elementary School and Jackson Elementary School. And I don't know if you know that the district just got a $7.9 million magnet grant that will be supporting Washington, Jackson, Washington Middle School, and a visual and performing arts at Elliott Middle School. And that's the last one on the list there. Uh-oh. Hang on.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So what will that 7.9 million be used for?
For all sorts of teacher support, programming, just innovative, there we go. Innovative programming and curriculum for the students. Okay. Are any of you employees, in which case, if you're not, we'll just skip this one. As I said, employees get 10% of the projected openings. There is a priority registration period. It's passed for this year, but should you apply for open enrollment, go to a school that's not your school of residence, you basically have gotten a permit then to go to that school. In subsequent years, if you have siblings who you would like to attend the same school, you do not need to go through open enrollment. You go during our sibling priority period and pre-register the students for the following year. There are some criteria, and I think it shows up here in a minute. So the priority registration was for siblings, which I just mentioned. Children who are at Willard in 5th grade who want to continue in the IB program can sign on to matriculate to Blair Middle School, where the IB program continues. And our dual language immersion students go ahead and do a pre-registration at the middle schools that are designated for them, which happen to be Sierra Madre for the Mandarin program and Blair for the Spanish dual language immersion program. Yes?
The sibling registration and the open slots that are currently, the numbers that are out there, is that after?
That's after the siblings had went and registered. So, okay.
Those are not going to get eaten up.
No. Siblings had to go and, if they missed the opportunity, though, those families will need to come and apply at this time, right? So here is the kind of some of the stipulations. They're brothers and sisters who are residing with students who are currently enrolled at the school. The siblings must be attending the school during the same year. So, for example, if you have a 5th grader at Don Benito who is leaving to go on to 6th grade and a kindergartner coming in, you do not have the benefit of the sibling priority because the two children would not be at school during the same school year. Okay? And that priority registration, we do a huge marketing and let everybody know about it. It happens prior to this regular open enrollment, and it is done at the schools. It's not an online application or anything. Okay, I can spend a moment here, or you could take a second, maybe if you want to just read through here. It's basically, the Willard students continue with IB at Blair, and as I mentioned, the dual language students continue on to 2 designated middle schools for the dual language program. Okay, here's where we are right now. This is the general open enrollment phase. This is the application window. It started last Thursday, and it continues until midnight on February 6th. All right. These are for families who are choosing to not go to their neighborhood school or choosing to apply to a school that is not their neighborhood school. Okay? If you're going to go to your neighborhood school, you do not need to participate in open enrollment. Okay, you just, yes?
What if our neighborhood school has the dual language immersion and we want them to do the dual language?
Then you do need to go through open enrollment.
So everybody has to do open
For the dual language enrollment, for the dual language immersion programs, for the pathway programs, yes, you would have to go through open enrollment.
Even though it's our
Sorry,
school of residence?
don't worry, you didn't hear that pathways thing right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
So even though it's our school of residence?
Yes,
we still have to do
Okay. Okay, so the district's current dual language immersion programs are located at Jackson Elementary, San Rafael Elementary, and then the Mandarin Chinese program is at Field Elementary School. And the kindergarten classes at all of these schools will be just dual language immersion. Okay, there will not be general education classes at those campuses for kindergarten. So if you live in the attendance area for the dual language immersion program, 45% of the seats are set aside for families who live in the attendance area. So there is some specialness that's, yeah. Yes?
Where's the attendance map for your home school?
So the district, on the district website at www.pusd.us, you go to Enrollment, a tab across the top, and underneath Enrollment is something called School Locator, and you can type in your address and it'll tell you what your schools of residence are. If you want a more global image, you can go to the district website, and on the left-hand side, I think it says About Us, and after About Us is something that says Maps, and you click on Maps and it'll show you kind of a big picture in color of the boundaries for each one of the schools. It will also tell you boundaries for our permit-only schools, which I'll get to in a minute, okay? So that's another way to look at, a location in the district. Yes?
You said that the kindergartens are going to be only
The language immersion at San Rafael and at Field Elementary School.
Okay, and is that because they're going all dual language?
They're going to be wall-to-wall, what they call wall-to-wall dual language.
So it'll no longer be
No, so in fact,
standard English immersion.
that's right. No. Okay, so if you are interested in a dual language immersion program and you happen to live in the attendance area for the school, to just be really clear, you need to apply, okay, through open enrollment. College and career pathways. These are for high school students. We have 9, I think, pathways. There's a slide coming up in a minute. Students go through open enrollment. If the pathway is located at their school of residence, they do not need to go through open enrollment. But if a student, for example, is in Pasadena High School's attendance area and is interested in health careers, then they would need to apply to be able to go to the health careers program. And again, 45% of the seats for the health careers program in this situation is set aside for students who do not live in the attendance area. Okay. Students who live in the attendance area, so a student at Pasadena High School who's interested in law and public service does not need to apply for law and public service through open enrollment. It exists on their campus, their school of residence. They register when they get to the school. It's a long ways off, but if a student applies and is accepted to a pathway and decides kind of midway that this really isn't the right fit, then they can finish the school year, but they would need to reapply through open enrollment if they wanted to stay on that campus and not to be in a pathway, if that makes sense. Okay. Here are the pathways. So the newest one is the Academy for Creative Industries. You just quickly spin down the list there. The App Academy this year does have some requirements. Students have to have either had some math, a certain level of math, a robotics class, a certain GPA. That information is available at the App Academy website. Again, this is high school. Anybody come in who's got a student going into high school, transitioning to 9th grade? Okay, we'll keep going then. Okay, Pasadena Unified School District has 3 permit-only schools. These are schools that don't have an attendance area. They are not neighborhood schools, although during open enrollment, there is a preferred boundary around these schools so that 45% of the people who kind of live in a small area around each one of the schools, seats are set aside for them. All right? The 3 permit-only schools, Marshall Fundamental goes 6 to 12, Don Benito goes K-5, and Norma Coombs Alternative is also K-5.
I'm sorry, what does that mean, permit only?
So that means that these schools are not in a neighborhood where families can, it's their school of residence where they can just go and register at the school. These are 3 schools that are open to anybody in the district. There are no neighborhood boundaries around these schools. Okay? So if somebody wants to go to Don Benito, Marshall, or Norma Coombs, you can only go by applying through open enrollment, whereas your neighborhood school, you can just go and register if you choose to go there. Okay. So, so far, I think anybody pretty much who has applied, possibly with the exception of Marshall, to go, who lives in one of the, in the sort of prescribed little boundary that's set up just during open enrollment. If for some reason there were so many people in that little boundary area that applied for those 45% of the seats, those families would be able to go ahead and reapply their application gets re-entered into the lottery if there wasn't a seat for them through the preference. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but let's say that you applied for Norma Coombs, you live in that prescribed area, 45% of the seats were set aside. When your name came up, your child's name came up in the lottery and you didn't get a spot, your application is put back into the open enrollment lottery and you get another chance as a resident, regular resident. Again, just to mention that if you live in Fields attendance area, Norma Coombs is the new neighborhood school for kindergartners, if you're not applying for the dual language program. All right, after all the applications are submitted and midnight on February 6th, we close down the window for applying. Staff works to go through the applications, kind of make sure we've got all the right addresses, all the right birth dates for students, and then we have a computerized lottery. And after the lottery is run, then families are notified. So about March 1st, we'll send notifications out to families. You'll also be able to go back onto the website, and using the confirmation or the student ID number that you've had, you'll be able to see whether or not your child was offered placement at a school, or whether or not they may have gotten on a waiting list for a school. So that information will be on the website, but then you'll get a really comprehensive letter in the mail. The most important thing is to remember is that when you get the letter, there are some dates that you need to go and register, and it is imperative that you register by the dates in the letter, because I mentioned there is a late application process that's coming. Anyone who didn't register and claim their spot, then that becomes available in the late application period for other families who, are desirous of, a place at a school that somebody else may not have wanted, okay? You take the letter, you go to the school that your child has been accepted to, you bring your birth certificate, their immunization records, and then 2 proofs of your address. And then it says down there at the bottom, the seat is forfeited if you don't register during this time frame. And I've got to say, it happens every year. There's more than a handful of families that the date just got by them, and unfortunately, it's a missed opportunity, okay? So just really be just intent that when you get the letter, the minute you can go and register, go and do it. Don't procrastinate. I will go back and say, though, that unusual things happen in our lives. If you got the letter and then some disaster happens and you're called out of town and there's nobody else that can do it, could you contact our office, okay, and at least illuminate us about what the situation is, and perhaps, we can make some concession or something, okay? The late application. So the late application is done online, but it is done online here at the district. And it is basically first come, first given a spot if it becomes available, all right? And prior to this late application period, you will be able to see where there are some openings so that you can know whether or not, you want to come in. So if you got your 4th choice and you went and you go and register, when you get your notification, if it wasn't your first choice, you'll be put on the waiting list for your first choice. So let's say you got your 4th choice. Go ahead and register, okay? And then there's a possibility that you'll get called for your first choice. But you may have discovered that there's another choice that you hadn't thought about and it shows up during this late application period. Go ahead and apply for that spot, okay, in the late application period. And everybody has pretty much up until the end of open enrollment to make some additional choices and selections. So if you don't get something in this first phase, there's the late application phase, and usually by the time we're done, everybody has landed somewhere that they can be pretty comfortable with, okay? All of these dates and things are on the website, so they're in your program. I'm not going to dwell on those. On April 28th, it is over. Open enrollment for 2014-15 is over. We do not keep wait lists. So if we finish and Field's dual language immersion program had 5 people on the waiting list that we were not able to accommodate in the program, although I probably shouldn't have used that as an example because right now the district has made every endeavor to continue to grow the program to accommodate everybody who's interested in the dual language program. So let me pick Hamilton Elementary School. If there are 10 children on the waiting list for Hamilton Elementary School when open enrollment ends, that waiting list is it's eliminated. And anybody who was on that list has basically, it's a no placement list. You didn't get in this year. We're done. We're not going to hold on to that list through the summer and possibly call you. It's over, okay? On the 28th of April, it's over. If you haven't seen information on the website when you put in your student ID number, if you didn't get a letter from us in this first phase where we are announcing, if you didn't get a phone call during the late application period when that ended, then it means unfortunately the student did not get a spot that you selected through open enrollment, but they have their neighborhood school that they can go to, okay? Yes, you can call us anytime you have a question. Interdistrict permits are between districts, and families who are applying for Pasadena's dual language immersion programs, the IB program, some of the new STEM programs from out of the district need to get a release from their district in order to be able to attend school in the Pasadena Unified School District. That all begins on May 5th, and that is here at the district office. You may wonder about families who come in during the summer who haven't had a chance to participate in open enrollment. Families who come in the summer who might be interested in a school that's not their school of residence may look at schools that did not have a waiting list when open enrollment was over, which means they would not be able to look at Hamilton kindergarten because I said that, in our scenario there were 10 students still on the waiting list. And the school also still has to have space. Some schools put up a lot of seats. They don't have a waiting list, but they didn't fill all the seats, enough seats almost to make a classroom, then they may not have that classroom, okay? So 2 weeks before school starts, families who come into the district may have an opportunity to look at some options, but the best ones are right now during open enrollment. Any of the transfers, permits, or anything that's done at this point is all done centrally here at the office, not out at the school sites. I think I've covered this. Open enrollment for PUSD is for residents. We do accept students from other school districts. This year, we are allowing non-resident students who are interested in programs in PUSD. Those programs are dual language, IB, and the STEM magnet programs, to submit an application of interest, but none of the out-of-district students will, except for some of the dual language pre-K families, will take a seat before a PUSD family, okay? So, all right, everybody, good luck. Thank you for coming this evening. And call us if you've, got a question. We'll be happy to help.